রাতে স্বপ্ন মিলাইছি বলেছি
আমার ল্যাপটপটা দেওয়া আছে না খাওয়া হবে শরীরের মধ্যে খাওয়া না তো নষ্ট হয়ে যাবে মাডানা এইটা হিন্দি বাদা হয়ে খাওয়া
চাতো তো চাতো
চলে ল্যাপটপটা দিয়ে যাও মার কাছে ইউজ করো
ও মা ল্যাপটপ কোনো হ্যাঁ
না হরাই দিছ আসমি মাডাদা ফোন মারো আর্জিনাডা ফোন মারো গজ মোবাইলে কাম করতেছে কেটে দিছে আর হইন হচ্ছে ভেন্ডি পয়সা কি কোনো দিনও আর্জিনা মোবাইল নিয়ে করো কি দে করো একবার আসে প্রেম কাঁদে বারবার বেদনাকে সাথী করে সে প্রেমেতে স্বপ্ন কে এখন আমি মোবাইলেই বসে এখন পয়সা দাম না একটু পর ফোন করে কোনটা পয়সা দিবার পাই একবার আসে প্রেম কাঁদে বারবার বেদনাকে সাথী করে
What's good, people, and welcome to a bit of a different video than the ones I made in the past. I'm going to break down the exact business model that has allowed me to make $60,000 a month in take-home profit at 19 years old, and my entire story and my life journey leading up to this point, because the past year has been insane. It's currently the 22nd of September, 2025. I'm sitting in a 4-story villa in Stockholm, Sweden, that I decided to rent for the week. The city that I grew up in and that has shaped me as a person. And I probably speak for a lot of people when I say that if you try to do anything exceptional, if you're from Sweden, or it might be the same for a lot of countries, but I can only speak for Sweden since that's where I'm from. You're often frowned upon and looked at as an outcast if you try to do exceptional things. And if you have big dreams and big goals, you you're looked at as an arrogant person and you should stay grounded, do the same thing that everyone else is doing. And I always knew that I was going to do some exceptional stuff in my life. I've always known that I was going to not only do something outside of the norms, but achieve some big things and quote unquote become successful. And I was always the kid that said you don't need to study to become successful. You don't need to go to school to make a lot of money. Ever since I was 13, 14 years old, like realizing that there was other ways to make money, that was like my identity. That was my saying. I've been saying it to countless people in my family and friends around me, and any person that ever doubted like that way of building a life and a career for yourself. I was always like sticking up for what I believed in. I always hated school. I never had any hardships. I was always like the smart kid, but I just hated school. I hated being thrown around and not being like the sole decision maker in my life. And I know that a lot of other people feel that way as well. I always knew that I was never going to work a 9 to 5. I've been fortunate enough to never work a 9 to 5 in my life. Now, ever since I started to see that it was possible to make money online, I went all in on trying to educate myself and learn about it. I was always an athlete. I've been competing in my sport at a very high level since I was, 8 years old. I started when I was 8 years old. And I think that's where I learned that I was exceptional in some way and that I could pretty much achieve anything that I put my mind to. And about 4 years ago, I started to, I love the athlete side of things in the sport that I did, but really what I had a big passion for was the business side of things and making money online. That's been my number one passion since I was, as I said, 13 years old. Even though I didn't make any money for a long time, I just knew that was going to be my life. And I started to look into all the different business models, drop shipping, trading. I even, sold a few products online. I started a clothing brand. I did some print on demand, like Etsy, drop shipping, stuff like that, which I made some small money. And it's not an impactful business model. It was still enough for me to see that it's possible. I do believe that that's the way God works. And, not everything is here to last forever, but even if you achieve some stuff, it's here to teach you and show you that you can achieve bigger things in the future. And leading up to last year of school, I was heading into my third and final year of high school. And in Sweden, you start school in middle of August. And during summer, you always feel like summer is gonna last forever. And then you get to late July, beginning of August, and you realize that it's coming to an end. And I had a feeling, just like this overwhelming feeling that I'd never had before in the beginning of August last year, that I had to make a change. I knew that I was not going to do the last year of school. I just hated school. I was not aligned with the people that were around me. And some people can push through that. Like some people are fine with I'll do the last year of school, or I'll push through these last 3 months of my job, or whatever it is. I just can't do that. When I had enough, I'm making a change that day. And it led me to, I felt like I need to make some money in the first 2-3 weeks of school. I have to find a reasonable way for me to drop out, because otherwise my parents are going to ask why I'm not in school. So I hired my first mentor shortly after I discovered the agency model of online business. I truly believe that it's one thing to make money online, but it's another thing to make money with something that's impactful and something that you're proud to say, and you can stick your chest out and say that this is what I do for a living. That's a different feeling. Even if you do drop shipping or trading, you're not providing any value to the world or to the marketplace. You can make millions of dollars selling glowing teddy bears on the internet, but when somebody asks you what you do for a living, that's not what you want to tell. So I found the agency model. That was the first thing that hit home. It was okay, this is something that I can see myself doing full time. And I hired my first mentor in the beginning of August last year, so 13 months ago. And that was a big thing for me, not only the business knowledge, but also feeling like I was a part of something big. That really takes some of the imposter syndrome away when you start to build that network and you have people close to you that you can talk to on a weekly basis. You don't feel like you're alone in a world full of people that want to pull you to the ground and say that you're arrogant if you try to achieve big goals or you have big dreams. You actually have some people on the other side that can lift you up. Shortly after, about 3 weeks after, he asked me if I wanted to come to Dubai because he was throwing a climb retreat. And me, still having started that last year of school, I was like, I don't want to go to Dubai. It feels way out of my comfort zone, but it's probably the better alternative at this point. I booked a one-way ticket 2 days prior. It was the Thursday, and I had booked the flight for Saturday. And I told my parents on the Friday, this is going to sound insane, but I'm going to Dubai tomorrow. which like no Swedish people I've ever, I'm not saying no Swedish people I've ever done, but it's very uncommon for an 18-year-old kid like that to just go to Dubai and them not having any context on it. Like that was definitely a surprise for them. And when I land in Dubai, I take my taxi towards my hotel and I just see the Burj Khalifa. I knew that was like the starting point of something good. I knew that I was not going to be in some classroom or any of the same like locations that I've been in back in Stockholm. That was like the start of something big. I'm in Dubai for a week and then I get back home to Stockholm. I speak to my teachers and they say that we can make a deal customized for your situation that says that I can do the studies from home. I don't have to be there physically. That was like the starting point, me knowing that this was the shift that I've been looking for all of summer. And at that point, I just stayed locked in my room for the entire fall of 2024, basically. I do anything that I can to get my first client, start to make some money and really change my life for the better, if you will. And I remember signing my first client for the agency back then for $7,000 US. That was my first ever client, and they paid me in full $7,000 US. That was the first time where I felt like, okay, this is what I do for a living. I'm not just trying to build an agency at this point, but this is like when people ask me, what do you do? This is what I do now. I have clients that see the value in what I'm providing, and it not only felt good for me because I was able to make some money online, but it also felt like I was providing something valuable to them, and they were happy with the service that I was providing. And that's the best feeling, being able to provide value to companies and growing their business, building great relationships with clients that would happily pay you multiple 4, if not 5 figures for your service and for you to help them out on their journey. And fast forward a year, I've been to Dubai 4 times at this point. Been in Cape Town. I've met friends all over the place. We've traveled to every single country in Europe you can imagine. I'm growing my business to $60,000 a month in profit. I'm making 2 to 3 yearly salaries every single month as a 19-year-old high school dropout, if you want to call it that. But most of all, I have full financial time and location freedom. I can be in this villa that I rented in Stockholm for a week. I can go to every single country that I want, and I can work whenever I want. I literally woke up at 11 a.m. because I went to bed at 3 a.m. because I sat working from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. Not because I had to, but just because I had to work on some new projects. It's a beautiful life, and I want to show you the technicalities of this business model, because if you can learn this too, you can really change your life for the better. And the year that I've lived and experienced for the past year has been the best year of my life. I felt like my 19 years of age is like divided into 2. It's like my 18 years leading up to that last summer, and then my year ever since then. I want every single one of you watching this video to experience that for yourself as well, because it's one of the coolest feelings and something that's worth pursuing for sure. So I'll break down the exciting business model and how it works and how you can get started doing exactly that for yourself. How I make $58,000 a month selling AI to local businesses at 19 years old without knowing how to code. The problem that we're facing is the following. 83% of businesses worldwide claims that their number one priority this year, 2025, was to implement AI into their business. And there's been studies on this, and only 20% of businesses are learning how to use it. Most local businesses will go bankrupt in the next 3 years if they don't implement AI into their company as fast as possible. And these are some stats that show that an average human sales team is costing companies between $4,000 and $50,000 a month, depending on how many sales reps they have. The average sales rep needs between $4,000 and $6,000 a month in base salary plus commission for it to be worth it for them to work for that business. And most businesses between 5 and 6 reps to take care of all the inbound calls, and that's going to cost them between $30,000 and $50,000 a month. And still, only 35% of inbound calls from potential customers of these local businesses are taken, because they can't take all of the calls. 65% of inbound calls go missing. That means 65% of potential customers of that business go missing. They're missing out on 2/3 of potential deal flow. So just by this stat itself, you could 3x a business just by taking care of all the calls instead of only.
అమ్మా আসমিনার ফোন করেছে তোমার কাম করতেছে আমরা তো মারছা বার্জ মেরে তোমরা
এই ভিনির ফোন পেতে দিবেন কি না বাইরে দিয়ে রাখতে কোসাল
ফোন
তুমি একটু ফোন করে জিগাও নাম্বার তো আছে ওরে বানি
না বুঝে কইতেছে মোবাইল কাম করতেছে
ওরা হলে করে দিলে কইছি তো ফোন পেতে দিবেন নাম্বার দিবার গেলে মোবাইল তো নাকবো সেভ করতে
Steve Jobs did not design the iPhone. He did not obsess over every button or pixel. Why? Because he had Johnny Ive for it. His job wasn't to do everything. It was to focus on the big vision, innovation, strategy. Now you you're out here designing reels, editing captions, fixing thumbnails. You really think Jobs would have done that? Smart founders, they outsource what's not core so they can build what actually matters. So if content is eating up your time, PS2 or Roger Path. Your vision deserves your energy. Let us handle the content.
And this you found you for a reason. You're here to help a big collective of souls. And if that makes you feel excited, butterflies, chills, or just resonates, then this is your confirmation. This is your sign to keep rushing. If you don't step into this role, you will stay invisible, suppress your gifts, and miss out of the abundance that is your birthright. So if you're ready for a life of freedom, impact, abundance, and purpose, let's get into it. I'm a purpose coach and I've guided thousands of people towards a life of freedom and purpose, but I used to doubt myself so much. I thought I wasn't good enough, so I waited so long to get started with my dream of being an online business owner and sharing my passion, my wisdom with the world. I just thought the market is so saturated already, who will listen to me? But eventually I stopped hiding and I started posting content consistently.
ಏನ ಅವಸಲ್ವಾ Das mouse tagno. Ini anda ke light tu tega. Dia baru dong tu kan. Tapi dia bawa dia kan.
Dia mau ambil tiga.
Ini mana?
Kau lihat kau ni.
Ini janda kiri sih show dia sih.
Iya, apa deh? Lihat ni, kau. Muda, sas.
Amma.
Dia mana?
Yang muda amma.
Sas.
Yang sot ko eko muda amma.
Bukan ni ni. Hah?
Nah. Kawan dia.
Di sini kira.
Tahu orangnya lo.
Mar ekdom mama hora দিছি
Ini kira aku kira bisa.
Punya. Oh, video ramah. Kalian tuh kalau itu nomor itu senjata.
Kasih. Sekarang su.
Nomor nomor itu. Kesti kan lagi. Muk dito saka. বাবু না দেখে যাস না বাবু তো খুশি বাবু বারবার দিচ্ছে মামি আর মুখ দিতেছে তো মামি দিবে যা খাই লইলো একটা গরম গরম ঠান্ডা হয়ে গেছে
না এবারে পরে মন্দ
না
না
সাউথ
রান্না ঠান্ডা কিবা করে
সাউথ না Ada sana sa. Gimana? দিয়েছে না
এই নিয়ে কলগেটের অবস্থা তেলের বলে দাম বেশি হয়